Interesting. Choosing Ferrari at Suzuka is a bold move, but they're going to definitely have to win Suzuka to even have any sort of play at the Constructors' Championship. Not only are they going to have to win, they're going to have to go 1-2 and take the fastest lap. So let's do a little bit of the scenario analysis. Let's talk about what would need to happen, because there is a path. It's not that crazy, but it's highly unlikely. I'll play it all out, and we'll talk all about the numbers, all about the math, and all about how Ferrari can win the Constructors' Championship. It's possible. So, if Ferrari go 1-2 at Japan and take the fastest lap, they will move to 453 points. Now let's assume Mercedes go 3-4. They will take 27 points and move to 598 points on the year. Scenario 1. We're going to use last year as a base measure for what happens this year. Now that seems like the most reasonable thing to do. So at the US Grand Prix, Ferrari had plus 37 points, Mercedes had plus 25 points. At the Mexico Grand Prix, Ferrari had plus 33 points, Mercedes had plus 22 points. At the Brazilian Grand Prix, Ferrari had 23 points, Merc with 35. In Abu Dhabi, Mercedes ended strong with 35 points, and Ferrari plus 18. Now that is using last year as a base measure. And if we assume they get the 44 points plus the fastest lap, Ferrari would end with 564 points. And if we use last year's results and say that Mercedes will end the way that they did, including going 3-4 at the Japanese Grand Prix in this assumption, Mercedes would end up with 715 points. Not even close. Okay, so you've accepted it. And probably going into this video, you knew that that wasn't going to be that easy. But let's talk about what's actually possible now. So here we are. Ferrari would have to go 1-2 and take the fastest lap at every single race, including Suzuka, so that they end with 629 points. We have to give Ferrari 629 points for them to even have a reasonable shot. Now let's talk about the math breakdown really quick. That's 44 points, the 43, which is the 25 plus the 18, plus the 1 for the fastest lap, 44, times 5 races, Japan, Mexico, US, Brazil, Abu Dhabi. The 44 times the 5 races, that's 220 points. They go into the Japanese Grand Prix right now as we sit here with 409 points. 409 plus 220 is 629. Got it? Okay, cool. Going into Suzuka, Merc has 571 points. Based on our analysis, that shows that Merc has a ceiling of 628 points. So if the ceiling is 628 minus the 571 they have right now, that means they have a total of 57 points that they can get in total. There are 5 races left. That leaves them with 11.4 at the absolute maximum they can have. Let's go ahead and round that down to an even 11 points. Mercedes can get no more than 11 points at every single race for Ferrari to take the Constructors' Championship. If Ferrari were to somehow orchestrate Mercedes only getting 11 points or less at every single Grand Prix left, they'd win. Honestly, it'd be magical, but it is possible. Not likely, but possible. How is it possible, Nick? Okay, good question that you didn't ask, person out there that probably hates this video already. Any variation of 7th and a finish below 7th actually gets Mercedes to their magical horror number. We'll call it the Ferrari magical number, because that would be a horror show for Mercedes. Now imagine 5 of those in a row. Again, unlikely, but definitely possible. The other variation that you could have for 11 points a race, you could have a 5th place finish plus 1 DNF. But the definite thing you can't do, the definite thing that keeps Ferrari up at night, is Mercedes having any finish better than 5th place. And with Valtteri Bottas, who's in 2nd place, and one of the greatest drivers that ever lived, Lewis Hamilton, in 1st place in the Drivers' Championship, it's very likely, unless they just flat out DNF, to be better than 5th in one of the next races. Either one of them finishes better than 5th, game over, Ferrari secures 2nd place. So that is the bubble bursting, reasonable truth and reasonable scenario analysis. Now let's get a little bit crazier. Let's go with the opportunistic analysis. Here's a path to Ferrari winning the Constructors' Championship. That's a little bit more goofy, but let's talk about it anyway. Mercedes would need to DNF at least one driver every single race. Now, that's not likely, but again, it's possible. On top of that, one has to DNF, the other driver can't get above 3rd. If Ferrari lock the 1-2 and get lucky enough that Mercedes gets a DNF, they do win this championship. Okay, but here's the wrinkle. Even if Ferrari do manage to get those 44 points with the fastest lap, and Mercedes never finishes above 3rd, of course, and get 1 DNF a race, they're still 17 points shy. So what's going to happen is they're going to have a double DNF, and you're going to have one of the drivers, instead of getting third, get fourth. But okay, let's snap back to reality. That's likely not going to happen. So in conclusion, let's talk about the summary. The only chance for Ferrari to take the constructors is the following. Number one, Ferrari have to go 1-2 with the fastest lap every single race on the remainder of the calendar. Number two, Mercedes have to get one driver to DNF every single race for the remainder of the calendar. In addition to that, Mercedes need a double DNF at least once more this year out of the 5 races that are left. On top of that, you still need one of the drivers on the Mercedes team that's left over in the time that they don't double DNF to not get third. So Mercedes can get third place, have one DNF, and then one race they have to double DNF, and then another race they can't get third. So a lot of different scenarios that are playing out, none of which are highly likely at all. Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton never really have to DNF for Ferrari to win this Constructors' Championship. If Ferrari go 1-2 with the fastest lap, take the 44 points, and then Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas just forget how to drive a car, and they never get above 5th place, well, then they're safe. As long as you don't take those prized 11 points or more. If they can say to 11 points and just do that, well, then you're good to go.